Hello. In this video, I am going to be making marinara sauce. This is a great sauce to make to have on hand, both in the fridge, in the freezer, maybe even in your pantry if you like to can, because it's more versatile than making a spaghetti sauce with meat. I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that you can do with it and share a recipe with you. I've actually already made the sauce. It's been simmering on the stovetop for about an hour now, so it's technically ready to eat, though I'm going to do a few other things with it before I actually serve it with anything. This is the recipe for marinara that I have been using for years. I've said in other videos that I'm a vegetarian now, but even when I was eating meat, I would make this as my primary tomato sauce for Italian dishes because it's just much more versatile than making a spaghetti sauce with meat like I grew up with. It's really straightforward, so I've already made it. I'm not going to show you how to make it. If you know how to saute some onions and garlic and put some cans of tomatoes together and add some seasonings and follow directions, then you're good to go. The only things I would say are don't be afraid to adjust the herbs and spices to suit your taste. There are a lot of different recipes out there. Maybe you even have a favorite spaghetti sauce with the right proportions, but now you want to try making the marinara sauce and omitting meat. If you've cooked spaghetti sauce traditionally with ground beef or some other meat, it really depends on what you like. I am not a huge fan of thyme, so there's less thyme in my recipe than there might be in others. I like more basil and oregano in my marinara, but play around with what you like. Include red pepper flakes if you'd like, or serve them on the side as a garnish if not everybody you're feeding likes the red pepper flakes. This is a great versatile recipe. The amounts that are here make about a quart of sauce. So today I've actually doubled that and I'm making 2 quarts of marinara. I used 2 29-ounce cans, one of tomato sauce and another of diced tomatoes. Use what you like. If you like really chunky sauce, get a really chunky kind of diced tomato or get whole tomatoes and cut them up yourself. Or if you have it your own garden in the summertime, you can use those instead. And if you like a really thick sauce, you can add some tomato paste, but you don't have to add the tomato paste. It's up to you. Add more if you like it to be a really thick sauce, or if you like it to be a very even consistency, you can even go ahead and run it through the blender or food processor when you're done, or use tomato puree instead of diced or crushed tomatoes. That would work as well. There are a number of things you can do with marinara sauce once you've made it. You can store it in the refrigerator for several weeks. You can freeze it in small containers. You can even can it if you like to can, and store it for longer term in the pantry. And then you can pull it out and do all kinds of things with it. One of the things that I'm doing today is I've actually sauteed some mushrooms and some peppers, and I'm going to basically take those and mix them together in a saucepan with some of the marinara, and then I'll have a sauce that I can use to eat with pasta. I don't put the vegetables in my marinara sauce to start because I don't know what I'm going to use it for. I might use it for a pizza, in which case I'm going to put fresh vegetables on top of the sauce rather than sauteing the vegetables. So here I've sauteed some mushrooms and some peppers just for a few minutes, enough to get them tender, and I just coated the pan very lightly in olive oil and heated it to medium, just enough that the pan wasn't dry when I sauteed the mushrooms and the peppers. These are actually chopped frozen peppers that I froze raw when the peppers were in season last fall, and I pulled them out and defrosted them, threw them in the pan with the mushrooms to saute quickly for a few minutes, and now they are ready to get mixed with some marinara sauce to make a sauce to put on top of pasta. I sauteed about a half a pint of sliced mushrooms. I didn't include the stems because I actually pulled the stems apart and froze them to use to make a soup stock, though I might have put the stems in if I had no other use for them. So this is about probably a cup or so of sliced mushrooms, and it's 1 yellow bell pepper that I stemmed, seeded, and chopped when I froze it, which probably equals about 1/3 of a cup, maybe a half a cup of chopped pepper. And I've basically mixed those together with 2 ladles of the marinara sauce. And now I have a fairly chunky sauce with the mushrooms and the peppers. You can see this is a fairly chunky sauce. If I wanted it to be more sauce than vegetables, then I could have just added some more sauce to it. But this is a consistency and a proportion that I like. But you can experiment and set it up the way you like it, depending on what you're doing. If you're adding meat, for example, as well as vegetables, you might want to have a bit more sauce. Or if you're making enough for a larger group of people, I'm only making enough to feed a couple of people in this case. So I just have that sauce now mixed together with the mushrooms and the peppers, and I'm going to let it simmer for a little bit, probably a half hour, for the mushrooms and peppers to begin to flavor the marinara a bit. And it's ready for me to go. I'll cook some pasta, and I'll probably just grate some mozzarella cheese to mix in with it this time, but I could always add some white kidney beans as a vegetarian, or I've done red lentils before as well. Red lentils are nice because if you cook them and let them drain and then add them in, you can get, they kind of give the sauce a kind of chunky consistency if you're looking for a protein that's healthier than a cheese. Or if you're a meat eater, you can cook some meat. You can just cook the meat instead of the vegetables or in addition to the vegetables, and cook it like you would if you were making your spaghetti sauce then, right? Saute the onion and the garlic, maybe add in the meat and cook it. Or if you're cooking the meat separately in a grill, you can put that in later and then add the vegetables once the meat's cooked. If you make a spaghetti sauce, you can do it that way. But what's nice about this is that you can make a large amount of it. I will make enough to freeze and have maybe 4 or 5 pints that I can pull out for several meals. And it's really easy then when I need a quick meal some night, because pasta is easy to cook. If you want to do something that's more laborious, you can make lasagna, obviously. You can make pizzas with it or do flatbed bread pizzas if you're looking for something quick. You can make your own ravioli, or you can get some ravioli from the deli or from the frozen section at the grocery store and serve it on top of that. It's just much more versatile. It works for vegetarians and vegans as well as for meat eaters. You can just add what you want and do many things with it. When you make a pizza, you don't necessarily want a sauce that already has meat in it, because if you eat meat, you're going to probably use a sliced meat like sausage or ham. And the same goes for lasagna. You can always layer the meat in separately from the sauce, or mix it in with the sauce in the stovetop in a pot like I'm doing right now with the vegetables before you put it into your lasagna, depending on how you like to make your lasagna. So there are a lot of things you can do. Look around and get creative. Find the vegetables that you like, the meats that you like, cheeses that you prefer if you like cheeses. And don't be afraid to add beans or lentils to it as well. They'll give you some healthy proteins with fiber and other essential nutrients. I hope the video has given you something helpful and that you find some recipes that work well for you and that you're able to find some proportions for the marinara that taste good. Don't be afraid to experiment and reduce or increase the amount of herbs, especially certain kinds of herbs if you know that you like some more than the others. I'll see you next time then for another food video.